thank you so much for being here today. And I would love to start big picture. The story of medical innovation is about like huge investments in scientific breakthroughs. Lisa, maybe let's start with you from your vantage point.
Would love to. Thanks
What
so much
does that mean for you? Oh, sorry.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your enthusiasm. What is from your viewpoint, from the data standpoint and from your vantage point, what have you seen from these kind of breakthroughs and what do they mean for patient care?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. And again, pleasure to be here. So the American Cancer Society every January of every year publishes something called Cancer Facts and Figures. It's not only the most cited cancer publication, it's actually one of the most cited publications in all of science. So every year we sort of see what's happening as it relates to incidence and mortality in cancer. And the amazing news is the mortality continues to go down. From 1991 to 2022, 34% reduction in cancer mortality. Incredible statistic, averting 4.5 million deaths, and really 18 million survivors nationwide. So incredible statistics. Although, of course, incidence rates are actually going up. Some of that is because of the aging of the population, but about 2 million people over the course of a 12-month period are going to hear the words, "You have cancer." And so there's a lot of work to be done related to that incidence and really understanding how important of those 2 million cases, about 618,000 people will lose their lives to cancer, and about 40% of those deaths are actually preventable.
So with those great trajectories, like how do we keep it going? Like, this isn't done alone,
No.
I guess, really. What are the partnerships that are involved to keep that momentum going?
Critically important. Penny and I were just talking about this. There are so many stakeholders in the cancer continuum, in the ecosystem, that a patient has to enter if they happen to hear the words, "You have cancer," or they're trying to prevent or early detect their cancer. So there's no way a patient can get through those processes without a lot of incredible partners. And J&J happens to be one of those great partners for patients, for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. But just overall, there's no single point of contact when someone goes into a healthcare system. So partnerships are critically important.
Penny, how do you view that from your vantage?
Yeah, partnerships are just absolutely essential to make progress. Over the course of my career, I've worked in government, philanthropy, big pharma, biotech, and in all of those situations, I've realized the value of partnerships. J&J, we're almost 140 years old. We bring a lot of resources to the table, but what we bring is very unique, and we need our partners to complement what we bring. While we're making great strides in, let's say, in our hematologic cancers, but actually now, because of the way we are understanding the biology, we're even getting to the point where we can intercept disease before the symptoms actually start. We're also looking at precision medicines in our solid tumors like lung and bladder and prostate cancer. But it takes partnerships. In fact, we need people to support every step along the continuum, from research, development, new methods of manufacturing. We need help with the communities, providing support to the community oncologists. 55% of oncology patients get their care in the community. So we need help supporting those community oncologists, those nurses. Without this, America cannot be the leader in oncology that we are now, and we cannot continue to make the great advances that we're making now. So partnerships are everything.
Yeah, I want to come back to how people can help, but a little bit of a detour, something that we've talked about a lot before, is like we speak in big, broad terms, but how do we keep it patient-focused on that? How do you anchor the patient at the center of all these advancements, all these decisions?
Yeah, so ACS CAN, as we like to call ourselves, is a grassroots mobilization organization, and our job is to really elevate patient voice in the fight against cancer. And so that is really rooted in empowering people to tell their stories and to really know that through their stories and their experiences, they can have a lot of impact in not just their own journey, but those of their loved ones and friends. And so making sure that patients understand the many aspects of preventing cancer, screening early, but it really is about that individual voice and your own unique cancer. Everyone says cancer, but as Penny knows, Cancer is over 200 diseases, many of which are rare. And so your own cancer may be very, very unique and needs unique interventions. And so patient voice and empowering them with information is critically important.
Penny, how do you keep the patient at the center?
Yeah, so it's really about, we think of course about it from the prospect of the clinical studies, where we're actually studying the safety and efficacy of the interventions that we're developing. And it's just so important to think about meeting the patient where they live. So we have a series of initiatives that are ongoing to make sure of that. One thing, it's really important for the science that the patients in our studies are representative of the populations that we're ultimately going to provide our interventions to. So making sure we're learning who has cancer, where do they live? They aren't all in New Jersey and near our headquarters, you know? And so understanding where they are. We also have patient engagement research councils. They're made up of patients with prostate cancer, with colorectal cancer, where we can sit down and talk to them about their disease. We talk to their caretakers. We talk to the healthcare providers who are helping to take care of them. We talk with the clinical trial specialists who are actually doing our clinical trials, the local pharmacists, et cetera. We find care centers. We have roving vans that help support them. So it really is all about keeping the patient at the center so they can have the hope of the new innovations that we're trying to bring forward.
Let's come back to the partnership element here. For folks in the room, so how do they help? Like give people homework as they walk out, as they go back to their agencies, they go back to their bosses, their offices down on the Hill. What's the message they should take to keep this progress going?
Yeah, I would just say elevate your voice. Your engagement is really important. And I just want to tag on, for example, clinical trials. So critically important in the progress of finding cures. But they're it's a very complicated process, and we haven't made it easy for patients. And so companies have recognized that through their engagement with patients directly. And we've got a bill in Congress called Clinical Trials Modernization Act that's really about reducing barriers. So I think what Dr. Heaton was saying is that they recognize that in order to get the outcomes that they want for the incredible investment that they're making, they've got to reduce barriers, go to where patients are. And a partnership on clinical trials can't happen just with patient voice, right? That really needs to be many, many stakeholders. And J&J in a partnership like that, among many others within the industry, is really important for us to move a piece of legislation in Congress, for example.
What's your homework for the crowd, Doctor?
Yeah, the same. Just remember that it takes all of the parts of the ecosystem. So we need the support for the basic research that's happening in our academic centers and NIH and around the country. We need that support because it's those discoveries that actually then move into the biotech space and move into our space so that we can actually then take them from an idea and a discovery in the lab to actually being able to scale that up into a treatment that actually helps patients and that can actually treat patients and prevent cancer from ever happening.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
We're about to get the hook here at Actors Live In, our newsletters on one fun thing. Up here, I want to end on one hopeful thing. We started this conversation with just the great news about scientific progress. Look forward ahead. What's something that gives you hope about the battle continuing?
Incredible, incredible innovation in early detection. That is really what's going to change the trajectory of cancer, not the incidents themselves. Cancer is a disease of biology. People are going to get cancer. But if you can detect it earlier, and there's just incredible intervention that's happening there, then that's going to mean that your outcomes are going to be significantly better. And I am really, really hopeful about the incredible innovation that we're seeing in that space.
Yeah, as am I. I mean, you said it so perfectly. When you look at, overall response rates and survival rates now as compared to even a decade ago, the difference is just tremendous. I'm really excited, a very concrete example. I'm really excited about what we're doing in trying to intervene in cancer earlier and earlier. As I said, we're trying to actually be able, through biomarkers and blood markers, be able to intercept the disease before symptoms begin. We are going to FDA later this year, not 5 years from now, but this year, to actually talk with them about one of our products that we are going to be recommending for smoldering myeloma. I love that term, smoldering myeloma, so that we can actually treat patients with multiple myeloma before their symptoms begin. It's not pie in the sky anymore to intercept cancer before the symptoms start, and I'd like to think it's not going to be pie in the sky to prevent cancer and completely. And so, I'm hopeful because I think we're actually at the point where we can realize that ambition of getting out in front of cancer on behalf of our people.
That's an amazing, hopeful note to end on. Thank both of you for being here. Thanks,
Thank
Johnson
you.
and Johnson, for making this possible. Thanks all of you for sticking around, and the conversation continues right after this.